at the workshop where we were working on I'm a Dreamer Who No Longer Dreams, and that's my first fully staged full-length opera commissioned by 𝐌e 𝐀nd Projects with the libretto by Cerise Jacobs. And Helen was playing the role of Singa, one of the principal characters in the opera. I met Cerise shortly after the workshop of my first opera, which is called 𝐌e 𝐀nd, that was commissioned by ALT and was performed at Prototype as a concert version, as an orchestral workshop. And Cerise was at that performance, and shortly thereafter she sent me 2 librettos. One of them was a Chinese opera based on the Chinese tale of Monkey Journeys to the West. So we started working on that, and it was scheduled to have its premiere in 2019, and suddenly, you know, the world was turned upside down with the election, and then you know, the erosion of migrant rights. So we actually put Monkey on hold, and instead we did Dreamer. That piece came about as a reaction and a reflection on all the changes in immigration that have been gradually and very aggressively and very systematically eroding the life of so many of us who are migrants, who are immigrants, who some of us who have international lives and family across continents, across borders. So it was something that was very important for Cerise and myself to try and unpack. What really triggered it was the president's executive decision to remove DACA provision, and just leaving a whole generation of young people who were brought to the United States very, very young, and this is the only country that no one recognized. It really became about reflecting about our own conditions as immigrants and migrants. Like Helen, you know, we talked a lot about, you know, growing up in a different country or having to deal with education in a different language, and for Cerise, you know, having to raise a kid who has no ties to their, and for me as well, right? Like my son, he's a New Yorker. He's from the United States, and you know, he knows that when we travel, we go to see family, and you know, he knows all that, but this is his home, really. So, you know, just grappling with that about, you know, growing up and raising kids and raising families that are multicultural. And really, I think that the piece evolved more into that.
When this kind of came about, I know you and Cerise wanted to especially use immigrant musicians and immigrant singers for this, because, you know, this is our life and it's something that we can directly relate to. I remember first reading the libretto, I was like, this person, it sounds like my life. Like, so much of it sounds like my life. I literally lived this life. I mean, I'm not a lawyer, but everything else about it, I very much so relate to it. Yeah.
Shortly, you know, we were at rehearsals for Dreamer, and Helen said, "Oh, you know, I want to talk to you about something, about a project. Let's have lunch." So we grabbed lunch, and she told me about the concert series and the plan that you guys had to do a concert around immigration and with all immigrant singers, and so. So we started talking about writing a new song for her, and at the time, you know, I kind of had some ideas, but you know, months later they sort of germinated into this idea of using, first of all, text by actual migrants, people telling about their own stories, about their own reflections, and then I thought it would be interesting to instead of taking a personal account of a migrant, a modern day migrant, if it was someone from the past, to sort of highlight how, it's an experience that is shared across over a century, and across races and across cultures and across religions and different, almost like a different world, but that the pain and the experience is shared. And so I wanted to highlight that. So I started looking for Irish texts of migrants, and I bumped into the Curtis Family Archive, and which holds all these letters, not only by Hannah, but correspondence from the entire family. And but the one from Hannah was the one that spoke to me the most, because she's describing, the world around her sort of imploding, almost ending.
There's some kind of strange fever, and it will spread over town when the weather goes wrong. No person can be sure of their lives.
I've thought a lot about, with what's going on recently, I know Michael and you and I have talked about this a little bit, how Asian Americans in this country are facing a lot of racism at the moment. And it's made a lot of us realize that our existence and our rights in this country, unfortunately, is very conditional. Previously, it's just things that you're like, oh, that's so annoying. You should not put me into a hole. You should not view me just as that. And now sometimes I fear for my life. That's the biggest difference.
I think that history teaches us racism is it's a political convenience, really. And about our song "Letter Home," and how the idea of using immigrant letters from Irish migrants at the turn of the century, and we in this country, we don't think about Irish as being,
well, now they don't
exactly.
Yeah.
Or Italians, but it's because they've gone through a whole process of assimilation. It really is more in people's minds than in actual than in an actual physical reality. And that that doesn't mean that we're all the same. We're not. We have cultural differences that are important, and that we should embrace and celebrate and share. We can learn from each other. We can share. We can, in past experiences, we can find comfort and solace, and we can find inspiration. From a diversity and a multitude of cultures and people.